This series, examining how to be a successful owner-operator, is brought to you by Michelin Canada. Michelin, a better way forward.
So Ray, we're in business. We have a carrier, we have a truck. So far so good. We need to maintain that truck. What should I do in terms of developing a preventive maintenance schedule so that I can keep that truck running and maximize my uptime?
Well, there's a few things you need to do. One is you got to realize that when you license to a carrier, you contract to a carrier, you're subject to their maintenance schedules. So you got to know what those are. I mean, you can't be less than their maintenance schedules. And should the Department of Transport or FMCSA come in and audit, that's what they'll look at, the owner-operators. That's why you have to hand in your maintenance schedules to your carrier. They have to track them to make sure that everybody's on a schedule that is at least a minimum schedule that they have. So, you know, the whole ticket to maintenance is to understand that it's granular money, and any time that you can save by doing any of your own maintenance, maybe you can grease the truck yourself. When I was an owner-operator, I did all my own oil changes. I did the greasing of the truck. I looked after the air system in the truck and replacing decadent valves and air filters and all those things. And that saved me a lot of money by doing that. So, you know, whatever you can do yourself, you don't have to pay a mechanic. And you know, typical door rates now are $100 plus an hour. So, you know, it's probably a little bit better than you're making as an owner-operator right now. So, you know, keeping just minimal amount of tools in your truck, and once you get into doing those types of maintenance things yourself on your truck, you get that feel for your truck a little bit better. And then quite often when you're on the side of the road, you know, you'll be able to handle something without having to call you know, a service truck. That's going to be a service call plus another amount of money to get the repair done. And I know that to be factual. And when I started, I had 2 or 3 trucks going, and this is way back in the day, but the drivers that I had, I used to get them in on the weekends to do the service on their own trucks for that reason. Of course, that was a different time. But I can tell you, not only did my maintenance costs go down when I was in London, where I'm from, but on the road, those service calls were cut in half in no time. Because the guys got a feel for the truck. They were underneath the truck, and they knew what was going on under there, and typically they could handle the small repairs.
Is there any way to predict or anticipate what types of breakdown costs or maintenance-related costs you're going to encounter?
There are. A lot of manufacturers have available information on websites where you can ask the dealers, you can go online. You should be booking amounts of money in a maintenance escrow on a regular basis depending on the vintage of your truck, right from brand new out to, you know, however old that truck is. There is a predictability to what that cost is going to be to keep that truck on the road. And you need to be banking that. Every statement, I mean, a brand new truck is still a couple cents a mile in maintenance. So if you did 10,000 miles in a month, you need to keep, you know, $100 aside for that, because it's just the way it works. You're driving a vehicle that every mile that you put on it is taking some wear and tear out of that thing. And it's going to need to be repaired. There's no such thing as a truck that doesn't need some type of repair work, so you should be booking it. So you don't get stuck with some big surprise or having to go and, you know, get a loan for something that you should have booked the money for to look after.
How about when I'm out on the road? I know there are certain legal requirements like the pre-trip inspection. What else can I do on a daily basis just to make sure that everything's running as it should be?
Well, you know, the circle check is something that obviously has got to be done and it's legislated, but on top of that, checking your tire pressures. Tire pressures, back to incremental monies again. Running your tractor trailer at the right tire pressures will typically help you maximize the MPGs and your cost of fuel out of that. It's also going to lengthen the life cycle of those tires. You know, and doing that, just rubbing your hand around tires to see if they're cupping, to see if anything funny is going on there that you might want to get on right away before it costs you a $400 tire. You know, getting under the hood and just checking, make sure there's no leaks, making sure that you know, everything is nice and tight and operating the way that it should be. I mean, it's all those little things. You know, keep the truck clean at all times. You know, if there's any damage on fairings, keep all those things, you know, clean and straight, so that you know, again, back to miles per gallon and you know, keeping your truck on the road and looking good.
How important is it to keep track of all the work that you've been putting into the truck?
Well, it's critically important. It's critical from a tax perspective. Obviously, there's you can use all those receipts and all that time spent to reduce your taxable income at the end of the year, so that's important. It's also important for you to compare all those numbers back to what an industry norm might be for your truck. Maybe the maintenance on a 3-year-old Freightliner of that vintage and that model is well documented at 4 or 5 cents a mile, but yours are running at 6 or 7 cents a mile. Or maybe you're below that because you're because you're doing a lot of the things yourself. So there's industry standards out there that you can measure your costs back to make sure that you're in line, and you can't do that unless you're tracking every one of those expenses.
And for the jobs that require a little more skill than I might have myself, what should I look for in a shop? Should I be going to my carrier shop and trying to get them to do the work, looking for an independent shop? What's the best bet when I need some help?
You know, a lot of owner-operators don't leverage off the things that are available through their carriers, and so I would certainly go to the carrier shop and see what type of expertise that they had there, see what their door rate. I mean, typically door rates at carriers can be up to 40% cheaper than going to a commercial door. So, I mean, that's the first place that I would look. What is your door rate, and you know, how many mechanics do you have on staff? What is their expertise? What kind of licensing do they have? And then talk to other owner-operators at the company to see how they treat their owner-operators. You don't want to get in a situation where the company shop is looking after all the company equipment first, and even though you had an appointment at 2 o'clock to get something done, you're sitting there until 3:30 because some company truck came in and got, you know, bumped you out of the way. So, you know, what kind of respect do they give their owner-operators from the shop? You know, and if you end up outside to go to an outside shop, again, door rate, expertise. What type of conflict resolution do they have if there's something repaired and it's not done properly? What type of support on the road can they offer you? The extended warranties you have, you know, they should be aware of all those extended warranties, not just so they can claim them back, but, you know, if they're a shop that you're going to rely on and you're between Dallas and Waco and something's gone in that truck and so a dealership is telling you there's no warranty, you can get on the phone back to that shop and say, here, talk to my expert back home who has my paperwork and understands my truck, and, you know, typically you can not get caught in what might be a scam that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be a big concern if you break down in the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere. You're kind of at the liberty of whoever comes to help you. You
are, and that's back again to a lot of the carriers have really strong infrastructure processes for tires, national accounts on tires, and for you know, a number of the dealerships. So if you can leverage off your carrier, that's the first place to look.
And finally, you mentioned a maintenance escrow account. How many people do that? Is that something that's underutilized?
Typically, not enough do it. A lot of them do it that have already been in trouble once, and you know, the carrier maybe got tired of them keep coming back asking for monies to fix things on the truck. So eventually they say, hey, listen, you know, here's your alternative. You're going to have to start putting monies into an escrow account, or maybe you should put your truck somewhere else, because these are things that are going to happen. Just as sure as the sun is going to come up tomorrow, your truck is going to cost money. So if you're not banking for that eventuality, then where's that money going to come from? And if you don't have an escrow account with that in there, and it's your money, and you know, you're putting in a high interest account so you can get money back on it. Your money's working for you. It's not something that should be avoided. It should be, every owner-operator should have one, because the truck's going to cost money.
And if you have good luck and the truck doesn't break down, maybe you got a nice little chunk of money for your down payment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, next we'll talk a little bit about staying safe and compliant while out there on the road.